Michigan and Jim Harbaugh accepting the Big Ten's 3-game suspension. Both you guys go first before I go in.
You don't want to go first, Dave?
No, both
you sure? You seem super excited about it.
Here's what I think. I think sometimes, and we see this in the regular law, even if you're not guilty or you feel like that you're not guilty, sometimes you just with the way it works, you have to agree to take a minor penalty if that's the smartest thing to prevent you from further troubles, which is what I think this is.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is when you see teams, and we saw Michigan do this before, self-impose before they get something back from the NCAA. We'll take a punishment, all right? We will give you the illusion of us accepting that something was wrong. But in reality, what we're doing deep inside is trying to get this BS out of the way and move it. By taking a lesser penalty causes a lesser of a headache down the road. We shake hands, you end the investigation. We're tired of hearing about it. Jim will sit on the sidelines for the rest of the regular season, even though that sucks, especially against Ohio State. But that's the best part, because is he sitting out the Big Ten championship game too, or is it just regular season?
Nope, and I guarantee you that was part of the conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
If you really want to show up in court on Friday and fight this, then it's going to become a Big Ten conference championship conversation, which they can't even get to unless they win the last game. So either way, keep going.
Well, to me, this is taking the lesser of two evils. That's what it is. Sometimes you got to take the small penalty. You got to be able to see the beach through the forest. Y'all know where I fall on this sign stealing thing. But I think this actually, and I know some people be upset, and you feel like no justice, no peace. I get it. But sometimes you've got to make the smart decision going forward. And I think this was smart. Eat the small penalty so you don't risk getting the big one or opening up more for more people. But I don't think this is a truly admission of guilt. I think this is just making the smart play.
I think you took a plea. That's what you did. You're soft. You're cowards. You weren't afraid to show up in court and really get you didn't believe in your lawyers. That's what you didn't believe in. I think what have they proven? They've proven nothing. They're just a bunch of alleged leaks that came out. You drug it out. You said you're going to show up in court and talk, and then you choked when it really matters. I'm on my Gotti stuff, all right? All right, I just watched the John Travolta movie with Gotti the other day. We're showing up to court, and we're fighting this, buddy. That's what we're doing. Until you can really show me some true evidence that you can pin us down on, I'm not sitting out the game, the biggest game of the year, because of NCAA and the Big Ten. I broke a sportsmanship law or rule. You can shove that up. You know what? I think it's a bad look for Michigan. I think you could have fought this and won this. You said you're going to fight it the entire time. Your team embraced the villain role. Now you just look like a bunch of dumbasses because you backtracked and took a slap on the wrist.
Can I say something real
Please.
quick? John Gotti got the mob taken out because he was too boring.
But he beat.
He's the reason there is no more mob, really, if you ask anybody that knows anything about the mob.
But he won in court a lot.
That way.
He won in court a lot.
Yeah, but he ultimately lost everything when it comes to the mob, and it cost everybody everything because of the way he acted. I don't think you just sat out the biggest game of the year at Penn State. You were able to win. You get this game at home against Ohio State. It sucks. I get it. But would you rather, think about this, if you are running a program or a business or anything and somebody comes sniffing around, because let's be honest, they did something that was against a bylaw, right? And lots of people do it, right? But they're not investigating lots of people. They're investigating Michigan for this. So would you rather sit here and die on your sword and say, all right, we're not going to take it. Jim Harbaugh is going to coach this, that, and the other, because this isn't the NCAA that's just doing it by themselves. This is the Big Ten. This is Tony Petitti. So now it's real and it's got some teeth to it. I don't think he would sit here and say, you know what? Screw you. Come investigate us. Blow it up. We're going to piss you off as much as possible so then you can do something that affects us in the postseason if you find any shred of evidence. Because they didn't open this investigation because they really care about sportsmanship. They opened this investigation because they don't like Jim Harbaugh. So to me, I think Michigan sat there and said, you know what? If we eat it now, he has to sit out the rest of the regular season and it's done. It's done. We shake hands. We move on. No more of this. That to me is the smart play, right? That to me is the old bull, young bull sitting on top of the hill. Old bull says, hey, let's walk down there, while the young bull wants to run down there and cause a scene. I want to let you guys know we got a brand new sponsor that we're super excited about.
Yeah.
Tested out their product. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, and guys, when we do these ad reads, it's if you're late on presents or you want to get in early on some presents and get some ordered, guys, girls, it doesn't matter. We have products for everybody. Hop in on some of these because there's some great deals. And you need to check out St. John's Bay Rum Cologne. I'm telling you, put some of this on last night, walked into the kitchen. The wife loved it. Didn't show her what it was and said we're going to be talking about it today. And 75 years ago, that's pretty cool. U.S. Navy officer Captain John Webb blended the local bay rum with the island's tropical bay leaf oils and spices as the genesis of their collection of distinctive men's fragrances. So it started by a Navy officer, Captain John Webb. They have a hand-woven palm frond bottles that were inspired by the Virgin Island fishing baskets, and they continue that Caribbean tradition today. It's classic, but anything but boring, smooth, spicy, and irresistible. I'm telling you, it's just a great scent. And I'm not an expert, but I know it smells good. So to me, you got lime over there, David.
I got lime over here.
They've got great soap products as well. I have
spray a little on, to be
Bay's
honest
rum.
with
You
you.
ought to. Put some on there. It's a good smell. So what are you waiting for? Go to stjohnsbayrum.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER. It's BOOSTER at checkout for exclusive discounts. That's stjohnsbayrum.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER today. Fantastic product. I'm telling you guys, check it out. We're excited that they're on board.
All right, I think both of you are making really good points. Here's what I have to say, and you guys tell me where I'm wrong. The Michigan administration went from #bet to #caved in less than a week, and it's the most Michigan thing ever. And people were asking me, are you really surprised by this? This time I actually was, because the president, Santaono, got involved from a university level and said, no, we are going to fight what we perceive to be an injustice. And then before you can strap on the gloves and put the mouthpiece in and climb in the ring, you called off the bout in the locker room. I mean, it's like Michigan's that friend where you both got caught together underage drinking, but it's all going to be good because his dad's a lawyer, but you get the court-appointed guy and it goes on your permanent record. He gets off and you never hang out with him again. That's Michigan right now to me. And I have a hard time believing that Jim Harbaugh would accept any penalty that involves the Ohio game unless there is some admission of guilt down tranche within the program at some point, because that game means so much more. Like it's more than the national championship, more than the conference championship or the college football playoff combined. And that's just in any regular year. Forget a year where you have to win it to even get to those games, right? Like that's how much that game means. And now you're going to be handicapped with your head coach sitting out that one. And we can talk all off season about how ridiculous this rule is, or the bylaws about going and watching your opponent in person. Coaches around the country are scrambling right now to erase evidence of them doing the same thing. It's like the speed limit's 55. Michigan decided to cruise at 60 because everyone's cruising at 60. Some cars are going 80, but you're the one that got pulled over.
Yes.
Maybe you're in a flashy red car. Maybe you have a bullseye on your back. Maybe it's unfair, but you're the one that got pulled over. And then you said you were going to take it to court and fight it. But when it came time, you worked a plea deal. And I hate it most for the players because this is a really good football team. It's a really good football team. The first time I felt like, man, this is a team that can actually win it all. And if somehow they can go out and win these next two games without their head coach on the sideline, it has to be the most.
Well, they've done it most of the year.
Yes, but this is not ECU. This is not UNLV. It takes all hands on deck against the Buckeyes. They're that good, and they're ranked number 2. If they can, it has to be the most impressive season in the history of Michigan football, just because of the stakes that are at play. And that's even if Michigan somehow gets kept out of the play.
I get the argument of, hey, we should stand up. We should find it. I understand that. If they were suspending J.J. McCarthy for 3 games because of this, I get it, fight like hell. If they were suspending your center or players that are valuable, I get it, fight like hell. Not saying that Jim Harbaugh isn't valuable, but they have played most of the season without Jim Harbaugh as the head coach. They just went to Penn State, and I know Penn State is a disaster on offense. That's why they just fired their OC. But Jim Harbaugh wasn't there. They were able to win that game. Michigan is guilty of something, in my opinion, but they're guilty of something that everybody is guilty of, right? So you could be wrong and right at the same time, which it means if they go in there and they investigate and you piss them off, right, and you don't just take this light sentence and get it done, and they go in there and they find something, which I'm sure they will, because a lot of people are doing it. They do it in a lot of different ways. I'm not saying it's just Michigan. They will prosecute Michigan, or whatever word you want to use, to the fullest extent of the law. Why risk it?
I would be fine with
why
everything
risk
you
it?
said if they did it a week ago, right? Like if when the suspension came down, Michigan and Jim Harbaugh said, this is unfortunate. We hate this. We don't think it's fair, but we're going to take our lumps and see if we can get to the Big Ten championship game. I'd be more fine with that. What they did was the entire program, the university president, the board of trustees, they galvanized not just the fan base, but large swaths of America to get behind them. Hashtag bet. This is an injustice. And they said they were going to fight it, only now out of nowhere to just.
Well, maybe they didn't have this deal then. Maybe they were sitting there thinking, listen, they're coming to get us. They're going to hammer us. So we're going to circle the wagons, do our PR thing, hashtag bet, go up to Penn State, do our thing. How do we know they did that the Big Ten didn't call them and say, listen, all right, we don't want to investigate this any further. Here is what we are offering. Do you accept this offer? There's no strings attached in the postseason. You make the Big Ten championship game. You make the playoff. We're not going to touch you. There will be no further investigation. There will be no further punishment if you take this offer right now. As much as you want to fight it, and I get I'm a red-blooded American. I was born here. We'll fight against oppression until the cows come home. I'm with you, dog. Let's march in the streets. But sometimes it's smart to make this play. I think it was a smart play by Michigan, and after they beat Maryland this weekend, and then they beat Ohio State to finish the regular season, and it's all good with Jim Harbaugh playing the little Giants or whoever comes out of the Big Ten West, I think they will and not have to worry about it anymore. I think you'll look back and say, while it wasn't the popular, underdog, us against the world decision, it was the smart decision, and I think it's the best thing for the players, in my opinion.
If the NCAA and the Big Ten hates Michigan this much, don't you think if they really had something, they'd hit them more for 3 games?
Yeah, well, the whole relationship is really weird right now that these are NCAA bylaws, not the Big Ten sportsmanship thing. And now Jim Harbaugh is going to sit out 50% of this season. 6 games. You only get 12. 50% of this season he's going to have to miss for violating NCAA rules without a single notice of wrongdoing officially from the NCAA. The first 3 were self-imposed from Michigan. The next 3 from the Big Ten. Weirdest thing I can imagine.
Everybody on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button on all the videos you watch. Helps out more than you know. And once again, thanks for stopping by.